It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 6, Episode 23. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
Hello, everybody.
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris, good morning, good evening, good day. How are you, sir?
What is going on, Mick Michaels? How are you, brother? I'm doing awesome.
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Nothing's going on. I feel fantastic.
Yeah, me too, man. Nothing much going on. You know, as we talked about the last episode or even the last two episodes, it's at time of recording this, the weather has been really nice, especially at the time of recording this past weekend has been gorgeous. So I am super, super happy about that.
Yes, the weather itself is very inspiring. There's something about the smell and the air, the warmth of it, the feel of it. Spring is, everything comes back to life, per se. And I think people's souls and spirits have that same ability, or, you know, they go through the same transformation. Because sometimes the winter is deep and dark. And like our hero Tommy Kiefer said, it's long cold.
Throw a Tommy Kiefer in there.
That's right. I'm a big Tommy Kiefer fan. I mean, I think he's an underrated guitar player. I mean, we're already on a different tangent, but he is a phenomenal guitar player. Excellent frontman. I just was always taken by him. If I just had his height, I would be a better guitar player.
You know, I was never, I mean, I like them. I do. I have, you know, Heartbreak Station is definitely an underrated record. Although Long Cold Winter is my favorite out of all of them. I was never this big, huge Cinderella fan. I liked them, but I was never like, oh my God, it's Cinderella. But I tell you, a few years ago, I saw Tommy Kiefer, his solo band at M3, that big 2 or 3 day festival in Baltimore where it's all these back in the day bands. And I tell you, man, he played an hour and a half straight through. And man, what a set. When I walked away from there, I was like, wow, man, just amazing, man. Amazing how good this dude is. Oh, yeah. Definitely an underrated guitar player. That's for sure. Always was, though. Always was.
I mean, he had a sound and a style. Like, it was a dirty blues metal sound. It was really, you know, I mean, I know they were thrown into that whole glam thing and stuff like that. And again, listen, you did what you did because it was that time and that's what your scene was. You wanted to compete. You wanted to be part of. It's not like they all of a sudden just flip-flop. They were doing this prior to their signing, you know, the release of the debut record. I mean, they had an original video for Shake Me, very similar, you know, same. So they were doing this stuff. It's just that they got more refined. The production got better. When Tony and Michael Kelly Smith were still with the band, they had been doing this routine for quite a while, really honing it. You know, go check out the Pat's Dogs or Frank's Dogs or whatever that hot dog commercial is. But, you know, here's the thing. Like, for me, I was really enamored by the bands from Philly, being from the area, and seeing some of these guys prior to them making the big time. There was something, it was exciting to me because, like we talked about this before, I remember that local bands or regional bands were like, for me, were like seeing the pros.
Yeah.
Because they acted that way. They put on shows that way. They were treated that way.
They were.
I'm a big Cinderella fan, always been. I really wish that they had done something before, but I know that there was just so much tension between them and with the writing and all that kind of stuff. But I just always thought that they were a great band. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen them, you know, back in the day. I've seen them so many times.
Yeah, me too.
I even seen them on the night when Britney Fox opened for them, the night that Britney Fox was signed, officially signed, when they played the Wildwood Convention Center. right there on the boardwalk. Cinderella headlined. It was friggin' great. It was, I mean, I just enjoyed it so much. I mean, again, like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen them when they played with Bon Jovi and when they played with AC/DC, and, you know, it was great. So, anyway, I know we just went someplace else, but phenomenal guitar player. I liked the way he wrote, and I liked that whole flip-flop of singing thing that he could do. I think it was really good. Man. I know it caused him issues later on, but he did it in such a way that others tried to mimic, and it just didn't, you know. And I know, you know, Brian Johnson had been doing it, and he did it in such a different way, but there was just some really cool stuff that was happening, you know. And it started that. I mean, Britney Fox then did the exact same thing. They followed that template. Yeah. I tell you, man, you know, if you ask me my favorite openings of records, top 20. Long Cold Winter is definitely on the list. That Bad Seamstress Blues going into Falling Apart at the Seams. Yeah. Oh, man. What a great opening of a record, man. It really is. It's just, Long Cold Winter, I think, is just such a underrated record in Cinderella's catalog. I really do. You know, Heartbreak Station was obviously the one that gave them I guess they had a single or a hit single or two off of Long Cold Winter, but that album really never gets talked about other than that. No, I remember how much I was anticipating that sophomore album. Like, I don't think think there's any album that I can recall right off the top of my head that I was looking forward to so much. Because I was so into Night Songs. I mean, I carried that cassette. It was everywhere. Hey, you got music? Yeah, here you go, Cinderella. Here, you got music? Yeah, here's Cinderella. It was in the back pocket. It was like a 6-gun. It was just, you know what I mean? It came out faster than you could shake a stick at, right? And I mean, you know, like you said, that album, it's an underrated album. And there's,
it's such an underrated record.
And again, some of that guitar playing, that lead work is just, it's amazing. Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
It is. It's a great record. It's an amazing record.
It's the Rust Boss.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
So your stuff's coming out soon. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, man, we are. We're about to get the third mix of the upcoming record. I mean, we're super closer now than we really have been, and sounds really good. We're really happy about it. Yeah, we're waiting for the third mix. I should have it at the time of recording this. I should have it by the end of the week. We're really close, man. We're really close. As you know, mixing is, when you have 3 opinions and, everybody's trying to make it sound the best, and what needs to be lowered, what needs to be higher, and but we're super excited about it. It sounds really, really good, better than I could have imagined it being. So that's always a plus.
Well, that's awesome. That's great.
That's great. Yeah. How about you?
We have the new EP, the extended EP out right now. We got some audio visualizer videos out. They're just easy turnarounds, but we are planning to shoot some video as the weather breaks. It's much easier to do. Some things are just difficult to do in the cold. So we're
everything,
it seems, getting up, moving, you know what I mean? We haven't really done a video in a while. It's going to be more of a performance video of the band because they seem to be the things right now, and you can kind of control the location. It'll probably be an indoor type of thing, but we'll see how it goes. Honestly, videos, they just don't do what they used to do anymore. And most videos now, like even at the pros, they're being financed by the band themselves. You want an additional piece of promotional content for your campaign, then labels won't put money out for it. A lot of bands take it upon themselves to finance it, put it together. That's why sometimes you'll see stripped down videos, because they're much easier to edit. Then they can just kind of After Effects them out the wazoo. This way it's more cost effective than trying to do practical effects at the time or some extreme location, because a lot of videos are just a green screen and then everything's projected behind them.
Yeah. What was it? I think when Judas Priest, when they released their first video for the new record, wasn't that was just a performance? But wasn't it just like, it looked like they just went out in the in the forest backyard of the studio, the forest studio, and then just real quick recorded each member kind of playing the song. Like, it didn't really look like.
No, there wasn't over-the-top production.
Yeah.
Because what's the point? I'll reference that article that I shared with you a couple months ago. Like, a top producer saying there's no reason to do albums and there's no reason to do high production because you don't get the money back for it.
You don't get the money, man.
And then, like I said later on in the article, he also said that talent pool has fallen into the abyss, which I don't agree with 100%. Is there some truth in that? Yes, there is. That's because of production standards and playing standards and what people are trying to accomplish in a short period of time. But at the same time, if you're going to complain about it, then you need to go to the top of the fish, the head of the fish, and talk to the labels that are allowing their artists, the ones that are gaining most of the streams and the revenue from the streaming services, and have them put out better material.
That's right. 100%. Let me ask you a quick question, Mick. We don't have to get too deep in the woods, but because there's such a thing now, are lyric videos cheaper to make than your performance videos?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, I see a lot of lyric videos lately.
And at one time they were an extra piece, and people were like, "Oh, man, who wants a?" I said it. I go, "I'm not going to read a lyric video. What's the point?" But as they become more and more the norm, you're like, "Okay, here's a lyric video," and so you'll get animation in some of them. A lot of them even follow a certain arrangement. You can see that this resembles something else. This resembles another one. I mean, look at Priest. All their pre-releases to the album were these lyric videos. It was just the Invincible Shield animated in the background, and the lyrics coming right across the screen. And people were happy with that. Sooner or later, something that isn't the norm, sooner or later becomes the norm. It's the last man standing mentality. Yes, they are cheaper. I've been doing them for years.
I know you have. I know.
Because they were inexpensive, and I could do a quicker turnaround. There's some really great ones. And they now have programs, software that will help you put stuff together easier. Yeah, and now with the induction of general AI onto the onto the battlefield, they're still trying to figure all that out about how they deal with the content, because labels now are putting out AI made, designed, created, produced, recorded material out on their label for their roster artists. How do you? It's just beyond the scope of how do you figure that out? How do you figure out who really gets the revenue? It's probably, in my opinion, it's going to end up that the label gets the lion's share. The artist that they're copying, if they're using an artist who maybe can't perform, he gets a licensing fee. Or they're going to create virtual artists. I mean, look, they have virtual accounts. The number one account on Instagram, the biggest following account, is an AI thing. Yeah. And people follow it like it's
a real person.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Are you taking financial advice from this thing, or what to do with your love affair, how to put your makeup on? It's very scary, right? It's very scary. So labels have always manufactured artists, right? But they actually had to use a real person.
Yeah.
But in a world that is becoming primarily 4 inches by 2.5 inches, and everything's done on your phone, and people can do it at the luxury and convenience of their time and schedule, then why not virtual artists that don't truly exist only in the cyber world?
Yeah.
That's 100% profit. Why would a label pass up on that? Why would you pay a middleman?
Yeah.
I understand the business of it. Listen, I was just talking about this to my drummer the other day. With this new model that streaming services, specifically Spotify, has in place, where artists are being, like you and I, if we don't make a certain amount of streams per year, the money that was made, which isn't a lot, on those streams goes to the top 1% of earners.
Yeah.
That means our money's going, and I said this before, going to Metallica, going to Taylor Swift, going to whatever. And here's the thing. People will go, well, your music isn't worth anything. It doesn't matter if my music's worth anything. The music I made is now giving money to people that don't need it.
Yeah.
That don't deserve it. That didn't create it. Because the labels went into a lull for a while when the digital world just exploded. They were like, what do we do? What do we do? Why me? Why me? It took them a couple of years. They didn't disappear. They just went back under a rock until they had all their brainiacs figure out how can we manipulate the system. Well, they controlled the flow by saying our artists aren't going to be on your streaming platform. Now, a lot of people credit it to, the artist said that they're not going to be on the streaming. The artist, half the time, if they signed an agreement a long time ago, they didn't have that, right? It made it seem like the artists were right. But then all of a sudden, that artist is on there. or they're selling catalogs or whatever. So now the labels, they're back in business, and they're actually stronger than ever. And with some things that I recently read, they have it so locked up that nobody's going to make money.
Right.
There's no middle ground anymore. If you're not already in that tier, and there ain't a lot of people, prior to us clicking record, we were talking about that old guard is making a change. It's just that they haven't let it go. There's a whole new crop of rock stars out there, young rock stars, that are amazingly talented, even more so than some of the old hats.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not getting the light because it's still being overshadowed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know, man.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing,
bro. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing to me.
I write quite often, and I demo things, and I record quite often. I have a facility to do it. I've been fortunate over the years to be able to do that. But I haven't even been inspired lately to record some of the things that I've recently written. And I'm like, what's the point, man? I'm getting to a point where I'm saying there's no rush anymore. There's no rush.
Yeah.
So either I get to it or I don't get to it. But it's like, if things are going, as they say, hell in a handbasket, our only hope as indie in the trench artists is to continue to play live and sell physical media. And this time around, I am promoting 100%. I was promoting pre-sales of our CD.
Yep.
We're not digitally dropping the whole EP until way later in the year. And here's a secret. If I even decide to do that, I'll release maybe one or two to help promote the album or the EP, and to get some radio play and maybe some chart positioning. You have no choice now to do that.
Right.
But primarily, what's the point of putting your whole album up there?
Yeah.
You lose some of your ability to do stuff with it because you're locked into a distribution contract. And I'm like, what's the point of that? I'll keep as much music as I possibly can. Yes, I have a large back catalog of stuff up there, but not everything's up there now. When I made the switch, not all of our music is up there. There was stuff that I held off so that I could do what I want with it down the line, whether that's re-record it, put it on a new album or EP or something. Part of the model change that I talked about in the beginning of this season for myself is that I'm going to be doing less of that. Because what's the point? I'm not making any money streaming. Streaming doesn't help me. And what we're going to talk about in this episode, I'm going to tell a story at some point about how I was affected by the whole streaming industry and how it's just kind of disrupted what I was doing.
Right.
Anyway.
Let me just say, I have the new album, the new EP, and it is really, really good, bro. Don't edit this out. It was really good. I wanted to save it for when we were on there because it is really, really good.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you pre-ordering it. I was very excited about how the pre-order went. I wasn't sure. I figured I'm going to take a chance here. And we did a limited run of... part of it was me wanting to maintain as much control of the release as I could. Now, look, we talk about this all the time. You want to keep as much as you can. There is a point in the business where you have to take a leap of faith and you have to let a little go if you're looking for that next echelon. I did that with some of our cover songs, and I'm not afraid or embarrassed to say that both of those last two that we released actually charted on some indie charts, real radio, not internet radio, though they have made charts on that. And I'm very excited about that. This is the first time we've hit top 100 on several different... The bummer about that for us as artists is that they're cover songs. They're not our original songs.
Yeah.
Have I been on some other charts with my original music? Yes. Not this high, though. So it shows that the world in general, it's nothing but, it's a rehashing of everything. They're doing more Karate Kids. They redid the Shogun series, right? The Shogun series from, I don't know if it was 79 or 80. Till this day, it was the most watched miniseries ever.
Yeah.
Okay? Simply because at that time, we only had 3 stations. And for 5 nights... Everybody was engrossed in something. It's good. The new Shogun is really good as well. Much darker, much grittier. It really shows a lot more of the culture of what that was at the time and how it was cutthroat. They sugarcoated a little bit of it for TV back then.
Of course.
But listen, I enjoyed the original one, and I actually have it in the big box set on VHS that I bought years ago, and believe it or not, every couple of years I pull it out and I watch it. But this one is much more grittier, and it's kind of exciting. Well, our time has gone to that. But anyway, with music, it demonstrates that people don't want to hear new stuff. They don't. They don't even want to hear it from their favorite artists. They want to hear old songs.
Yeah.
I have a 1973 remake of the Osmonds' Crazy Horses. I love the song. I love the original song. Loved it then, loved it now. Frankie and I were Osmond fans, still are. And it was one of the songs that we always thought that we could do in a metal fashion. So when we did the cover thing, we said, hey, let's do this. And we did it. And I really like it. We cosified it.
Yeah, it came out really well.
It came out
you got
really
some
well.
Traction.
And it got some traction.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is we did a version of Warrant's Inside Out from their third album, and we didn't do any promotion for it. We just figured, well, we'll just put it out. It's done. We're moving on to our EP. Well, this thing took a life of its own. Literally life of its own. Yeah. It started screaming up some independent indie world radio charts, and we didn't do anything about it. I mean, it was like when I was told about it in December, I was literally floored. I had to email my label back, and I said, are you saying, this is how goofy I am, because I go, are you saying this is a good thing? Like, I'm missing this. Like, explain this to me. Because we didn't do anything with this song. We just kind of put it out there, and that was the end of it. We figured, well, that's the end of that era. We're not,
Right.
So, anyway, he goes, yes, this is a good thing. I'm like, oh, my God. Which makes us think that, should we do more covers? And there is this train of thought that models doing covers. I just watched a video, and this guy said, this is how you make your first album successful. He goes, every week you release a video on YouTube of you doing a cover song. Stuff that you like, whatever. It doesn't have to. He goes, you can even redo top 10 hits right now. You do your version of it. He goes, after a certain period of time, and then he said, and I'm truncating all this for the compression of the show, then you start releasing some of your original material, one at a time, all on YouTube, through your channel. Once that album has been released, you put it up in a streaming thing, you send it out to all the contacts that you made, and hopefully you're gaining subscribers. Mm-hmm. You put it out there, sell the thing, because you're building up this channel. Now you're blowing out your album in a short amount of time because you've already set up this thing. Would that work? I'm not sure. I've never done that. But I have read that people have done this model, and it's been successful for them.
I was going to say, it makes sense, right? I mean...
Right, it makes sense. Not last summer, the summer before, 7 little metalheads came knocking at my door. Anyway, the #1 streaming album on Spotify, if it was just for a couple weeks, was from a rap artist in Australia. And I talked about this before on the show. What he was doing was, over the course of the 18 months before, he kept adding a song every month to this playlist that wound up becoming his album. So the compounding, I'm not exactly sure how all that works. I'm still to this day not a huge Spotify guy. And with the changes that they made, I'm even less inclined to do anything with them. I know this show is available on Spotify. But again, there are some things you have to do if you want to be out and play with the big boys. Like, I don't want to play just in my sandbox all by myself sometimes. I want to go out, and go into the one that everybody pees in and craps in, and, So anyway, by the time the whole album was, I guess, streaming or uploaded, it was unbelievable the amount of streams that this independent rap artist from Australia was gaining.
Yeah.
It was only for a few weeks, but that's enough then for him to generate enough followers for his next release. So does it happen for everybody? No. Does it still happen? Yes, but the percentage is very small. And in that video that I recently sent you, everybody wants to go viral. You can't predict it. You cannot predict it. It's not.
You cannot.
You don't know what's going to happen. So,
nope. No.
So again, I go back to thank you for purchasing the EP.
Of course.
We look forward to what else this business has for us in store.
That's right.
Put your mask on because you don't want to get hit in the face too hard. Oh man, it's terrible that you got to say it, but you got to. You literally got to gear up.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
All right, with that, let's get to the topic of the show. The topic of the show is getting on the playlists. Getting on the playlists. Chris, what do you think? What is it all about to you?
You know, man, I have to say, the one thing about getting on playlists, I realize that I am not the norm. I still buy physical copies. I still buy vinyl. Vinyl's pretty popular now, but I still buy physical copies. I still buy merch at shows. I still buy merch online. Like, I pre-order things. So I understand that I am not the norm. Maybe I'm the norm in terms of like being into metal, but I am not a norm. I don't know if I'm considered a normal music
You're not normal
buyer, so to speak. But I will say I am a Spotify guy, unfortunately, but I am. When I see those playlists, and I've screenshotted you a few that you guys have come up on, at the time, they've changed the model. We talked about that actually the other day. Spotify puts up this new Music Friday. I'll go through the new Music Friday of the most popular artists just in case. Yeah, that's how I found Billy Joel's new song, and I like to keep up with the Joneses. I do. So I'll scroll through that, and then I'll go look at the metal list that they bury, which doesn't make me happy, because when I started listening to Spotify, hard rock and heavy metal was the most streamed, and now they just completely buried it. Like, now it used to come up on my front page, my home screen. Now I actually have to physically go look for the all new metal playlist. It's really ridiculous. Anyway, I'll be like, oh, I never heard of this band, and I will look for new artists. I will. Again, I totally understand I'm not the norm. I do. But, I'm a music lover, and I love metal, and I love that there are new artists out there. And, I love to see what the scene's doing. And I have purchased a lot of newer bands' stuff because of playlists. Now, I don't know, and I'm not really sure where your story is, but I'm assuming by your introduction in that story, it wasn't a great one. But I will say, I don't necessarily know how important playlists are. I don't know if they're important for the big name artists, like, say, Judas Priest, and I only mention them because, the new record, or if they're important for guys like you and I, because I don't know how many people are out there search, and I'm only speaking for Spotify. I can't speak for iTunes or whatever else, or Amazon Music. I don't know how many people go down the new metal music Friday list and pick out bands. Do they just look for the bands they know? Are they like me? Do they look for bands that they don't know? I don't know. I don't have that answer, and I'm sure you probably have some kind of answer on that. To me, on a personal level, because I look at things differently, because I do search out new bands, I think it is pretty important to be on them, because it does get your music heard. Now, obviously, you have a story, which I'm kind of interested in hearing. You may shine a whole new, which you normally do, you may shine a whole new light on this playlist thing. But as someone that buys new music, likes new bands, likes to hear new things, I enjoy the playlist. And to me, I feel like it is important. And, it'd be cool to get a screenshot like I sent to you that day going, that's pretty awesome. Now, you can answer this for me. What I don't know is, did you come up on my new... Well, no, I just kind of answered my own question. I guess you wouldn't be. Because I originally thought maybe you came up on my new Metal Music Friday. This was a while ago. I think this was for your last record. Did you come up because I listened to Corners of Sanctuary on Spotify, or because you were just included in that new metal music playlist? Do you know if it's all the same, or is it constructed by what I listen to? Do you know that?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
It is both.
Okay.
It's a random thing, especially being that we're an indie band, is that not all of our stuff has come up on that. But there has been a number over the course of the years, and it could be just a slower day. So it is kind of always exciting when you see that a larger organization picks up on the fact that a new release from your band is being generated.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, I think it's pretty important, right? Like, for me, as a friend of yours, I totally was psyched that you're on my Spotify playlist, but I think it is important. But again, I know I am kind of out of the norm in terms of, as a general music listener, I know I'm kind of out of the norm. As a metalhead, I really don't think I am that abnormal. I think a lot of people, a lot of individuals in my genre that follow my genre, we still buy physical media. That's a big thing for us. But I think playlists are pretty important for an artist. I do understand that for an artist on our level, you get lost in that shuffle. Because again, I don't know how many people will listen to a New Music Friday playlist. They may just pick out their favorite artist if somebody has something new and then move on. So I don't know what that percentage is that listens to the whole thing and goes, oh, I like this band, I'm going to go check them out. I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Well, I agree with you that I think in our genre specifically, tangible content is still very big. And I'm going to testify to that with our recent pre-sale of our CD, that limited number. We ran through all of them. So people are still interested in some form. Now, a lot of it could be, like you said, it's just memorabilia, right? It's a collection piece. They want to add it to the whatever. Is it specifically they only want to listen to it on the vinyl, on the CD? Yeah, maybe. There's going to always be those people. I mean, I still crack out an old vinyl every so often and play it because I look for that warmth sound. I look for that, just that tone, even the crackling, right?
Yeah.
And it takes it just takes you back too, you know.
So good. So good.
And then you have people that do both. Again, coming late to this game, being someone who was part of the analog, still learning this whole digital model as it seems to change every couple months. New rules are put in place, what you can do, what you can't do, what people are listening to, what they're not listening to. It's just baffling. It's as bad as trying to do your taxes each year with a business and a personal, and everything just changed from last year. That's why you pay a professional. So I had come up learning that, hey, you got to get on these playlists because more people will hear you. Contact these curators, these playlist curators. Get your music to them so that they can get out to their audiences, because a lot of them have large audiences. Now, what's happened over time, I'm going to just jump ahead a little bit. What's happened over time is a lot of these curators now are charging people to be on their playlist. Hey, you want to be on my playlist? Then it's this much or whatever. The other thing is not charge a fee. Get all these bands to sign up to be part of this playlist, but what the trade-off is they want you every day to stream that playlist on your own, so it increases so now if you have 50 bands and all 50 bands are streaming that playlist every day, well, it's going up. You're getting all this benefit as a curator and not doing any of the real work. You're not really then getting your playlist out there. It's just like the artist paying to play on the show, or the artist paying to be on the tour or whatnot. Because years ago, you'd have two compilation models. One, you were invited to be on, and two, you had to pay to be on. They're still doing the pay one. Well, it's the exact same thing now. They just took that model and they put it into the digital realm. But I do believe, I see the necessity to be on playlists, because it's like having your money work for you while you're sleeping. That's what investments are. Your money's generating, hopefully, more money while you're sleeping. It's the old rich person's way of making real money. Let the money do the work. You sit home and eat bonbons. So I made an effort to get the music out there so that people could see it. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I struggled with connecting with those curators. It's almost as bad as trying to get a label to look at your stuff. After a while, I kind of gave up on it. I figured, well, it doesn't matter. Our goal was to play out, sell our merch, and then do whatever. Then COVID hit. Well, when everything started to slow down, what a lot of people were doing, and a lot of this became fan-driven, they were just doing their research like you were, discovering new bands. And the bands of tomorrow are discovered today. Like, if you don't have that discovery process, somehow, you're not going to have any artists for next time around, the next generation.
Yeah.
So these fans started to there was a push to create these playlists and then to share them. They would, hey, it's Sunday night, I want to hear new music. This would be on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, or Instagram or whatever. Share your music. Well, I started to pay attention more to that. I started to pay attention. During COVID, I got more familiar with Instagram and
for sure,
and Twitter and X. I
don't
don't do a lot with them as much as, because the truth is there's so many social media platforms. How much time do you have to promote every single one? You have to pick something, right? One that's the mainstay, and then the other ones that are kind of like pickups. I spent some time learning that, and that's where I started to pick up the idea to get on more playlists. And again, everything I read saying you got to get out there. This is the way to do it. You can really expand your streams, but also expand your audience. Well, statistics show now that it doesn't really help your final bottom line. What helps your final bottom line is wrangling up a niche group of your audience, a group of fans, listeners, whatever you want to call it, and then work those people in terms of bringing out new merchandise, exclusive merchandise, new material. Because the other one is more of a, it's hit or miss, but it is a bigger audience. So you take advantage of it, because back in the day, you could not just get physical media everywhere you wanted to.
Right.
You were sometimes limited to 5 places on consignment within your driving 50-mile radius. You know what I'm saying? And once you went out of a certain area, nobody in Maryland was going to put a consignment piece from a band in Philly unless they were a huge name.
Right.
It didn't work like that. Right. So this was an easy, inexpensive way. I avoided anything that cost money or anything that I had to every day go stream 50 songs of music I didn't want to hear. Some of these were metal type based, and some of them were cross genre. I figure, what's the difference, right? If it ain't costing me, what's the difference?
Right.
Well, over the course of the last couple of years, we managed to get on a bunch of different playlists. Some by submitting, and then most by not. People just seeing the music, or they liked it from one page to another, or whatever. Now I'm going to go into the story.
Okay.
So, every holiday my band releases a seasonal song or a seasonal set of songs. The past year was no different. We released the song Get on the List. This time got lucky enough to release it earlier than the season kicked in. I wanted to have as much push as we could. And we usually run the holiday promotion until January 6th, Little Christmas. And then that's the cutoff, and then we go on to the next bit of promotion as we start the new year. Well, this song did pretty well. We actually even brought in a third-party promotional agency to help push the song out further to radio stations, to audiences, and the like, which was all part of the calculated thing, because it's a big deal for us. We usually get more plays, I should say, on our holiday song cross-genre than we do our regular music, because our regular music is niche. Holiday music is more general. It's broader, it's more accepted. We get FM play, we get internet radio play, we get streams and so forth. The song was doing really well. Streams were probably the highest stream song that we had to date for an original holiday song. The song was still going good into January. And then all of a sudden, I guess, the end of January, beginning of February, I get an email from our label saying, hey, there's an issue with this song. Spotify reached out to us. They're going to pull the song. You need to get off these playlists. And then they go on to tell me the playlists aren't good anyway. They actually ruined the song. So I messaged back and I says, well, can you explain that to me? Because everything I'm reading and that's out there says the opposite. I says, being that, how do I know what playlists it's on? And how do I contact these people? Like, give me some information, because, I'll do my due diligence. At the end of the day, it's my music. It's my career.
Right.
And if I don't take an active role in it, who's going to? So anyway, the song keeps streaming. What's funny is it actually charted in February. It was still going in February. Actually, we just had some airplay with it.
Well, wait,
at the beginning of March.
Did they tell you why Spotify wanted it off?
No, it said that it went against their posting standards. Now, granted, this is beginning of February. I stopped promotion in the song January 6th. We immediately, January 7th, started promotion for our upcoming EP. So in the process, I started doing some of the research myself. I found that at the time of my research, and again, these numbers aren't great. I'm just throwing them out there.
Yeah.
Corners of Sanctuary was on 72 different playlists.
Okay.
However, I could not see all of the playlists. Spotify would only show me 28 of them.
Okay.
Out of those 28 that I seen, 16, 17, 18, something like that, of those playlists had the song Get on the List on it. So I just did some quick math, and I says, based on the law of averages and pi and reading some books that Einstein put together, I says, well, I could figure this out. So I came up with, out of the remaining playlists that I don't see, I'm going to say this percentage also includes Get on the List. So I sent that back to the label with all this information. I says, that being said, what am I supposed to do? I don't control these playlists. I don't know what these playlist people do with their stuff, how they do it. And I says, I've noticed that Spotify has now officially pulled the song. The song's gone. It doesn't exist anymore on Spotify. I lost all the streams. It was super high in streams, like more than any other single that we ever had, especially in the Christmas realm. So the label gets back to me and goes, oh, it has to be a copyright issue. We're on it. I'm saying, well, what's the copyright issue? I own the copyrights.
Right.
You have exclusive rights to distribute it digitally. So where is the problem? So no answer. I've done some of my own research. Unfortunately, it's like I said, it's still available on YouTube, but anything associated with Spotify at this point, it's completely gone. As I hate digital to begin with, this makes me hate it even more.
I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either.
Issue.
It's
so bizarre.
I think they're just saying things. So here's, from what I read, I started to go on threads and read what people that may have had similar situations. I mean, one of the beauties about the internet is there's other people like you on there trying to find out information. Right. It's not all just BS. There is, you got to siphon through.
You got to dig, yeah.
Right. What happens is that some of these playlist people, they'll do those number puffings.
Right.
And you can't control that. As an artist, what am I supposed to do? Your choices are do nothing and just sit in your basement and hope to God somebody hears something. And that ain't going to work. Or you start putting yourself out there organically, grassroots-like, and you take the chance. People like it, they hate it, they steal it. Listen, I have plenty of material that's out there on these torrent sites that you can download albums. There's albums out there that are not even the right album list tracking of songs. They're like 2 from this one, 2 from this one. I can't do anything about it. I've tried. One gets shut down, another one starts up. So I've embraced that over the years and saying, well, listen, it's here in the band. Am I making money? No. Will I make money? No. Did I ever make money? No. So what difference does it make? What am I losing?
Right.
What I am gaining is some type of audience. I started to look at that as playlists too. What individual curators, if that's what they're called, I may be saying the word wrong, do with their playlists, I can't be responsible for that. From our YouTube channel, we have people that add our videos to their YouTube channel.
Right.
I can't control that. I guess I could. I guess there's a setting that says you can't be put somewhere else. But why would an independent artist
do that?
You're right. You're only cutting off your own leg.
Yes. Yeah.
And you still have a pretty high mountain to climb. When someone puts our stuff on a playlist, to me, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's less work I have to do.
Yep.
It's my money making money while I'm sleeping.
Right.
And you're gaining an audience. And like you've said from the very beginning, you're gaining one audience member at a time. And we do it in live shows. Why not do it here? So the moral of the story for me is I'm not actually sure if I want to do any more digital, if this is the case.
That's crazy.
Because if you're supposed to be on playlists and then you're told don't be on playlists, what are you supposed to do? Because if you're not on playlists, who's listening to you?
Right.
But I can't be responsible for what these other people do. So do I take the initiative and go, well, because I can't be responsible, then I can't partake in things like this? Well, again, if that's something you choose to do, that's something you choose to do. But I am having a huge issue all around. Each day, digital gets to be, I don't understand how I'm benefiting from it. Because as I started to benefit from it, it was quickly taken away from me. I own the material. I own the copyrights of the song. I licensed the song to the distributor, to the label to do this for me, literally contracted.
Right.
And they have no recourse. Like once, it's kind of like what happened in COVID. When the rug is pulled, nobody has any say in it. We just have to grin and bear it.
Yep.
But with physical CD, I can do anything I want to do. I can put whatever I want on it, except for cover songs, unless I pay the mechanical fee for it.
Right.
But my own material, I can do whatever I want with it.
Right.
So why wouldn't we embrace that more?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, why wouldn't you? The problem I have with all of it is I just feel like there's just this agenda with it. Like if I listen to Judas Priest, and if you scroll down on your Spotify and it says similar artists, it's similar artists like Judas Priest. But if I go to Corners of Sanctuary and then scroll down to artists like Corners of Sanctuary, then I get a bunch of artists that I've never heard of before, which is cool. But the problem is if I don't find Corners of Sanctuary, then I'm not going to find all these other artists. It'd be more interesting to see if I was listening to Judas Priest, scroll down and it said artists like Judas Priest and there was Corners of Sanctuary. I mean, that would make more sense to me. Because I already know that Saxon and Accept and like I already Iron Maiden, like I know
that's
this.
That's what I mean. That's how they're funneling that top 1 to 10% of artists that are getting the majority of streams because everybody's staying in the same tunnel.
Right.
So if you want to find different stuff, and like you said, you put your band or my band in there, different artists are going to come up because we are not linked. Yes, everybody's being seen. Right, we're all being seen in the same place. It's like everybody's in the same boat.
Yes,
but you got a bigger oar than I do.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep. It's crazy. It's crazy, but I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I am trying to navigate. I am a little bummed out because I think what's going to happen is nothing's going to happen. We're not going to get a resolution to this, and at the end of the day, the artist loses.
Right.
The label loses a little bit, but the label doesn't lose what the artist loses.
Right.
Because nobody is a fan of a label per se. Right? They don't go around and fans don't buy all the bands that are on one label.
Right.
They're fans of the band and fans of the music. So the label, yes, they take a small hit, but they don't take the same hit. So now look at this. And again, I have not gone back to research it a little bit more, but on those 72 or 76, whatever the number was, playlists where a percentage of them was get on the list, well, now we're no longer there. That just whacked our playlist exposure in half or more. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I have to double back and I have to do even more work. For what? To run the same risk that some playlist owner will decide to buy numbers because they're trying to increase their playlist and then the popularity of it, and then of course they can sell that popularity to other artists. Hey, be on my playlist, do this, do that. I can't control that. Half the time you're struggling just to control what you're doing in your little bubble with your members, and then now you're taking this bigger slice of the pie. And it's very difficult to do. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Agree. I totally agree.
So I don't have a pure answer. I'm going to keep researching it. Hopefully I can find a happy medium. I've always embraced physical media, and I've always had a large amount of it available at our shows. And there's stuff available through our website. But I think that as I move forward, seeing with all the changes that are happening in Spotify, and I'm sure that other streaming platforms will follow a similar model over time, because that's usually what you do. When the big boy changes, everybody else starts following suit. Otherwise, you get lost. But I think I'm going to focus even more so on the physical media, and hopefully with some turnaround in the scenes, we can get back to a heavier touring schedule. But it's becoming increasingly harder to do so. But I'm going to find other outlets to do what I have to do while I find a happy medium. This industry keeps changing. It's changing so rapidly. And like that video that I sent you recently said, there's artists walking away every day. Every day. Both younger and older artists, people that have been in the business just a couple months, to people that have been in the business for decades, and everybody in between, because it's getting harder and harder for new acts to do anything. To do anything, let alone be heard. And part of that is, we talked about this all season, is the bands And part of that is the fans. If the fans demand it, if they demand these acts to get heard, well, then there you go. Because at the end of the day, whose money is it? It's the fans' money. That's who's keeping these labels, these streaming services alive. But until that happens, put your armor on and keep swinging.
That's it.
See what happens.
That's it. That's it.
You got anything else you'd like to add?
No, brother, no. You've pretty much blown my mind this morning at recording this.
Fantastic. If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmicvoice.com. Step into the Cosmic Verse and fill that playlist void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmic Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmicvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmic Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.